And this is, of course, the origin, again, it's infancy. If your needs were not fulfilled, if you were sleep trained, if told to your mom to breastfeed you every 4 hours, even if 2:30 you were crying and your mom was crying and you were detached from each other.
Because it's not yet time.
Sorry. Premature trust is betrayed, and this is your main experience as a baby. So we have to go back again to the same place over and over again, heal ourselves inside, tell ourselves that yes, unfortunately it didn't happen, but it's possible to heal ourselves.
Hello.
Hi.
This is Edina.
This is Rob.
We are the Lemon Water Chronicle people, and this is episode 3. With a very deep topic today, we are talking about repressed emotions.
And their effect on our life.
And their effect on our lives and our health. And I think we have some qualification here, don't we, to talk about repressed emotions? At least in contrast to one another, because I'm from an Anglo-Canadian culture, and Edina is from a Mediterranean mindset. And they are very different.
Yeah, but not a Mediterranean country.
No, but you are 20.7% Italian. So that does count for something.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have evidence of that too.
Okay.
Not just for your phenomenal cooking, but the manual communication, and also the freedom from restraint, emotional restraint.
Okay, we can start from here. No cultural differences about how we are dealing with emotions.
Yeah, and this isn't just us, just our house. It's known that Mediterranean cultures are less emotionally repressed than other cultures, and consequently they have fewer problems related to the repression of emotion.
So why you are repressing emotions in the Anglo-Saxon field?
It's not just Anglo-Saxons, but that is a problem in Nordic countries, Scandinavian countries, in the UK, where it's just considered not proper to express emotions.
Proper.
Like civilized, even. Like people, that's for other people, uncivilized people, to go, oh, and express their emotions.
So I'm a barbarian.
Horribly barbarian. Yeah, this is the mindset. And but Japan, they have this issue too. Korea, and in other cultures, there are certain emotions that are considered taboo. Like in Middle Eastern cultures and elsewhere as well, men are not allowed to express vulnerability. And so that's a form of repressed emotion. It can be proud or aggressive, and that's acceptable within those cultures. But being vulnerable and afraid, they're not acceptable. And that makes sense from a biological evolutionary standpoint. You wouldn't want to show that you were afraid to a predator, but
we can step a little bit higher than that, no?
And those were temporary situations. Yeah. Something's attacking you. You try to be stoic, and the situation goes away. But in modern societies, we tend to get locked into these situations where we're constantly stressed, we're constantly in a low-level emotional state for no good reason.
Maybe the origin of this barbarian emotional stuff is that these cultures are a little bit confused or mixing two notions. One is emotional control, which is necessary for social benefit, but it doesn't mean that you are repressing and hiding your emotions.
That's true, and there's a religious component as well. Countries that
you like that?
Yeah, this is touchy. Actually, I should say, I just want to a little sidebar here and say that we are inevitably going to touch on topics during this whole podcast series that will contradict people's existing beliefs. And the first reaction will be to say, no, you're wrong. because this is what people do. They typically just shoot the messenger, because that's easier than saying, wait a minute, the thing I've believed my entire life could be completely wrong, and now I need to think about it and confront it and possibly revise it. So much easier to say, you're wrong, and unsubscribe or do something really dumb like that. So what I just want to say, in general, that if we say something that makes you get that reaction, that we're completely wrong about something, then stop yourself. And if your beliefs are solid, if they have a basis in real thinking, then they will survive scrutiny. They will survive being analyzed in the context of things that we're saying. And you don't have to worry about losing your faith because of something we said.
Poop footnote, we will do this with respect.
Of course.
Not saying
always.
that.
No, we don't want to provoke anybody.
And if you are open to discussion, we would more than happy to accept that challenge, and we can have a conversation anytime under our videos. So,
we're talking about repressed emotion. We're inevitably going to get into areas of religion and culture, and people tend to stoically defend those things. Even though they didn't decide to take them on necessarily, they came to them through their family or through the peers. And
so, what is the connection between religion and repressed emotion?
Well, in not just the Christian faith, but in especially in Protestantism, there's this idea that you are a stronger person if you endure pain. Japan has this too. They call it gaman, I think is the Japanese term for just holding it all in and stoically carrying on. And this does have its roots in religion, that you're somehow a better person if you just endure, if you just put up with things, and that this makes you stronger. Sometimes you have to take a step back from those beliefs and ask yourself, well, who's telling you this? And
why do I have to suffer before I will achieve anything?
Yeah, and are the people who are telling you this practicing the same thing? And is it possible that someone is benefiting from you believing these things? These are important questions to ask yourself about your belief system. And are you really becoming a better person if you're keeping yourself small? And the medical evidence is that no, you're making yourself a sicker person if you're unable to express emotions, any kind of emotions, anger especially for some reason. This is the one. If people are holding back anger, and I'm not talking about bullying or passive aggressive behavior, but feeling like it's not cool to say when your boundary has been crossed, that chronically can lead to health problems.
This is the point where we can refer
to this excellent book.
Gábor Maté, we love him. His work is just very necessary because he can talk about the medical point of view, but from the psychological point of view. And what I really like in all of his works, that he really connect body, mind, and soul together. Like, this is a whole holistic, not whole holistic, but he is taking into account your wholeness as everything is connected with everything, and that's why it's holistic. So when you talk about anger, he says a lot. He's talking a lot about anger because, and this is what I refer in the beginning, that emotional suppression is not equal emotional control. You have to learn how to express yourself, how to let your emotions out from you, because if you are just keeping it yourself, your body will react in illness. And the anger is a very good example because it's very easy to demonstrate how this works. So when you are angry as a kid, right? You are 2 years old. You are very frustrated. You don't have the verbal domain yet completely to fully express yourself. So you have these tantrums and outbursts, and you are on the ground and saying, "Ah!" And most of the parents reacting, you cannot do this. So you are just
Saying anger is unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
I don't love you if you're being angry.
So we don't have lots of tools from our childhood how to express our anger, because our parents say that you cannot be angry because it's disrespectful, you are not a good child, and so on and so on. But if you hold back your anger, it stays with you and it starts toxifying you, poisoning you really. But if you learn how to express anger, not in a destructive way, that you are just authentic, you say, okay, anger means that you are reacting to something which is crossing your boundaries. So this is just a red flag, just something is wrong, I'm reacting. The problem is when you are reacting in a way that you are hurting other people, like burn everything around, everyone around you. So you can say, I'm very angry, I'm very upset, this is not acceptable. And you have these emotions when you are angry, you are very tense.
You feel it through your whole body.
So you have to let it go out of yourself, because if it stays with you, then what's happening? All of the chemical stuff just starting to elaborate a deeper problem, like cortisol, it's just the adrenaline is raising. So if you are doing a lot to suppress your emotions, you will have a physical reaction. So what we have to learn is deal with our emotions, not suppressing them, but transform our anger into a message which is conveyable, we can communicate. And this is where assertive communication is coming to the picture. You can say that I am angry because I feel this and this way, not because you are a and you will hurt the other one. So this is the big difference between dealing with our emotions, expressing themselves in a way that actually we are not hurting other people. Kids are hitting other kids because they don't have the good tools. This is where we have to step up as adults. We are not hurting each other physically. This should be a base. And neither verbally or psychological manipulation, like I'm not talking to you, so I'm punishing you with silence, and so on and so on.
So you want to be able to say, this is unacceptable to me because, this is I'm angry about this because, and you have reasons. It's not that you don't like the other person, or it imposes on some belief that you have. It's just you've got some reasons that someone is pushing too hard, and you need to say no, and you need to say no in a respectful but firm way. And if people can do that, then they're free. They don't have this cortisol buildup.
And this is, you are the prefrontal cortex of your own child when they are immature. That if they have this tantrum and you are acting aggressively and angrily, then this is exactly the example that you are showing to them. So this is what they acquire. They are not even learning, it's going under their skin. So if we cannot control emotions at age 40, how we are expecting from our children to do it at age 2, when actually physically your brain is not enough mature to do that.
That's interesting. It just hasn't developed to the point where they've got those.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, what about situations where a child, maybe their parent is a stressed out person, or an angry person, or someone who's extremely moody, and the child feels like they are responsible for one or both parents' moods all the time? Can a child repress their own emotions just to survive within that sort of family situation?
This is a surviving strategy, I think.
Just to get by, they teach themselves. It's not their parents saying you can't behave that way. It's they realize that there isn't any room for their own emotional expression, because the house is already full of an angry parent, or a moody parent, or violence, or some sort of emotional background that leaves no room for healthy expression.
You know, we are maybe a little bit jumping, but there's so much in this topic. The problem is not that you have a moody parent if that parent is authentic and not blaming others to be moody. So if you have a bad day or you know that you are moody, first of all, we have to know our own emotion. This is the starting point, self-awareness. Okay, I am upset, I am moody, so I will tell to my kids, today I have a very bad day, I'm very sorry, it's better to just, take 10 steps away from me, and it's not your fault if I will blow up.
How many people actually do that, though?
No, I don't know. I have my extra day when everyone should be a little bit away from me because I'm sensitive, and so the kid will know it's not their fault that the parent that they admire having troubles, and this is how we should teach to them again to control their emotions, because this kid would always want to satisfy their environment. This kid would be detached from their own emotions, their own needs, their own limits, because she or he just want to fulfill other people's expectations. She will be confused what to do because she will be just concentrating on the other needs. And this person probably wouldn't be able to defend her own boundaries, which means saying no would be extremely hard for this person.
So they could develop into an adult who's always serving other people and putting their own needs last, to the extent, as we know, they don't even know what they want anymore, even for simple things. Someone says, would you prefer this type of tea or this type, or whatever there's more of, whatever, I don't want to take what everyone else is having because I don't want to use up something that's someone else's favorite. They become detached from their own preferences because they're used to putting those at the bottom of everything. And again, this can have religious roots too, where you're taught that you're a better person. I think this is harder for women too, that you're serving, especially for a mother. You're always serving someone else, and you're a better mother if you're sacrificing yourself constantly. But one thing that really stood out from this book, When the Body Says No, is the idea that if you are a psychologically tortured person and you're exhausted and you're stressed, you have low-lying constant stress from constantly serving other people, then what good are you to them? If your desire is to really help other people, then you want to be your best. You want to be mentally healthy, you want to be physically healthy, and then you've got lots of extra resources that you can do things for other people but still honor yourself. So if you're a slave to the rest of your family, then you're not serving them. You're not serving yourself. There's not enough of you to go around. And your body eventually tells you this in one way or another.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's easy to think that if I'm just giving and sacrificing and serving others, then I am a better person. Then I am very selfless. But, if you are imagining a pyramid, like you put yourself, the other, and everyone else on the top, this pyramid has to change completely, because if you, as you said, you are always at the bottom and you have this low level stress that you don't even notice, and this is the very scary thing about this. So you are in this low level stress level where you are the least important person in your own life. You are serving others, you don't know your boundaries, everyone is stepping through you because this is what you created for yourself. As you are your own victim. I'm not saying that we can blame these people, but what they grown in or created for themselves is that they are the last one, so no one is caring what they want, because the response is always I don't know, whatever, what is best for you. So people would use this. So you have this low level stress all the time. So the adrenaline and the cortisol is always in your body. You got used to it. This is your familiar emotional home, and your body is reacting to this because these chemicals are poisoning your body. It's constantly there. So after a while, you can really end up, and this is what Gábor Maté says, that you can end up having cancer. This is kind of a prototype to how you can make yourself sick, because adrenaline and cortisol are weakening the immune system. Autoimmune diseases, for example, are very top of this kind of attitude. When you don't, if you are just thinking about you are not defending your own boundaries, the whole immune system is all about this, how you can defend your own physical boundaries.
It's true. That's true. That's one thing that really stood out from his book. He was working in a palliative care unit in Vancouver, and he interviewed a lot of patients who were there, end of life, and he found in almost all of them that there was some sort of boundary imposition in their childhood, and these were nice people who would always put themselves last. And now this doesn't mean that if you had a childhood where you were forced into an unhealthy emotional state, that you're stuck there for the rest of your life. Everything is fixable if you can know yourself, and it takes therapy and it takes time, and you have to love yourself enough to want to take those steps to do that. But you don't want to just throw up your hands and say, well, I had a terrible childhood, so this is the way I'm stuck for the rest of my life. I've gone off on a tangent, and I've forgotten what my original point was. But when he was in palliative care, that these stories were so common. This is what drew his attention to the fact that there was this psychological component to immune system related diseases. The autoimmune ones like ALS and lupus and
arthritis.
Yes, rheumatoid arthritis and cancer, which people don't see as immune system related, but it's really a failure of the immune system. Yeah. Most cancers are just a failure of the immune system. So they're two sides of the same coin, really. These are both classifications of immune system related diseases. And that's an important point you made, that you're being able to defend your own boundary is not just a metaphor for what your body is doing. It's because of the mind-body connection. It's all the same thing.
And you can trick your brain. You have the cognitive dissonance as a gold mine that you can always, saying, but this and that, and that's why I am like that, and this is how it helps me. Blah, blah, blah. But your body doesn't lie. This is the only thing really that you cannot fool, and you eventually will pay the price that you are not enough honest with yourself. Lots of time I think I'm quite honest with myself and the world, but of course as a mom sometimes I'm going too far. Or for example, when I was a university student, I didn't have kids, but I wanted to be a good student, so I pushed myself to the edge where I learn a lot, sleep less, and so on and so on. And in the end of the exam period, when I passed the last exam and I had good grades, so I never really had to worry about anything, but I was, because I need to be a good student. I need to have good grades. I always got sick, and generally my throat. And as a mom, when I'm still pushing my body a little bit more because I have to do this and this, my body just saying, okay, enough is enough. I got a virus and I don't have a choice but rest. So, sometimes your body, not sometimes really, your body is more wise than your mind, because you can fool your mind, but you cannot fool your body. And this is what we talk about in the last episode, that this is how do you say this, lying machines. How do you say when your reaction is measured?
Lie detectors. And
that's why they are working, because you can be a fantastic liar, but you cannot fool your body. Your body will always react. So we should listen to our body, and these gut feelings. Lots of time we are just looking away. No, nothing here, and you feel it. It's just a 1 second gut feeling which is saying no, don't do that, and you do it anyway.
Yeah, we've been taught not to trust gut instincts. We've been taught that sort of primitive and illogical. Now, it's one thing if you come to the end of an exam period and you get a cold or a sore throat, and you think, okay, well, I've been overdoing it, so I've got this. So now your body is said, okay, you stop. We're going, we're going to stop. We're going to have
recharge
tea, and you're forced into it. But if you're talking about a lifetime of suppression of those inner voices that tell you when you're working too hard, or you're giving too much, or you're not doing enough for yourself, and you end up with an autoimmune disease or cancer, you're not necessarily going to, you're actually very unlikely to say, oh, this is a result of behavioral problems, of self-image problems, of situational problems like your lifestyle, you hate where you live, or your partner is killing you slowly. You're not going to see it that way. Our society says, oh, I have cancer. It's this random thing that's happened to me. And then you throw a bunch of treatments, standard treatments at it, and you're a victim of it, and you're battling it and all this. But the things that Gábor Maté has discovered haven't worked into a medical training yet. No one is saying, well, this is a sign of a deeper problem, that you just become this piece of meat on the cancer treadmill or whatever, and you're prescribed these procedures that are sometimes inappropriate, or they're overkill, or they're just making other people wealthy, but they're not addressing the problem. Cancer comes back in people that who have had some sort of a benefit from treatment, and that could be because the underlying cause is still there, because we don't yet have mechanisms in place in society and certainly in the medical world to recognize the psychological roots and the behavioral roots to what we see as purely random medical problems.
Yeah, but this is the problem of the system. I really don't want to go where we would blame people who are already in a horrible, life-threatening situation when they diagnosed with cancer, but the system is not offering them enough help and solutions and tools, because I can fully understand why, if someone would go for the routine medical route, that this is what you have to do, this and this treatment will come, chemotherapy and so on and so on.
They're not really given a choice usually.
Yeah, but even if you choose this, a psychological support would be even more effective, because you go to the root, you discover what you have to change, and slowly you teach your body to the new reality. So hand in hand, if this is the best, if you believe in science and medicines, go for that. But just don't forget that your body is actually sending you a message that it can save your life. Any time when you're sick, your body wants to communicate with you, wants to tell you something. Just listen to it and try to see behind the symptoms, and not just take a pill or go immediately to the doctor and just go the routine that you thought it's for you. You have to spend a little time with yourself and saying, okay, what does really means for me as a person, what my body wants to tell me, because your body really wants to help you. Sometimes people who went through this saying that this experience changed my life. Finally, I realized that I don't have to sacrifice for myself, for all of the people around me. So, they can step up and live a better life after an experience like this.
Is it reasonable to say that once someone has developed a serious illness, that they've probably been ignoring signals from their body, or is it how to say this, is a serious illness kind of the body's last ditch effort to get your attention? Mm-hmm. And if you were more attuned to your inner messages, to your own emotions and things like this, you would have had some earlier signs to draw on, some instincts and some warnings from your body that things weren't right.
Yeah, earlier signs could be you don't have emotional control, you cannot sleep, you have anxiety, all of these symptoms that can help you that something is wrong. You don't feel happy, you feel like you are playing a role, you don't like your job, you are fooling expectation at home and at work. So all of these things they are red flags that something is not okay. And if you step up, of course, on time, probably you can prevent more serious consequences. But of course, I'm not a doctor. I don't want to say anything decisive about this. But it seems that there is a link between early recognition of your body signs and changing behavior and habits, because another side of this whole story that we touched the last time are the addictions, what those are doing with you. You want to feel a whole, you are suppressing your emotions, you are not honest with yourself, you are not a congruent, authentic person, you cannot defend your boundaries. Okay, I'm going to addictive stuff like work, video games, porn, alcohol, drugs, and then you end up in a situation when your life is threatened by a disease.
Are those addictions a distraction from messages we would otherwise get that would tell us that something's not right? Like, do we become addicted to something as a way of taking your attention away from or as so that we don't have to face the fact that our life is completely screwed up? You can just go and buy a bunch of things online, or binge watch series after series, and that saves you from having to address that there are fundamental problems in your life, which might not be because of decisions you made. Our whole society, the whole 9 to 5 world, and so many things that we adjust our organisms to accommodate are inherently unhealthy and inherently subject to causing diseases and constant low-level stress in people. It's just not a healthy way to exist.
I think really any kind of addiction is like a lamp that you put in front of your eyes, and it's very opaque. So you are detaching yourself from yourself. You are detaching yourself from the real problem because it's so painful. You don't have tools to face with it and deal with it. So you are going, you are searching another route, which is easier in one way and more destructive. You are always paying the price to choose addiction. And this is, of course, not a conscious choice. Like, okay, today I wake up and I decide to drink alcohol, but this is how you suppress your emotions. We have in Hungarian that you put your sorrow in alcohol. You are suppressing your sorrow into alcohol, so you don't have to think about it. You are just drinking as much that you are not in connection anymore with your pain. You are a little bit dumb. You are detached from reality. So you feel finally your soul can relax. But this is cheating.
It's artificial.
It's artificial. So you will end up in a place where you are even more down than where you started, because addictions just anchor you to this unrealistic place and just detaching yourself from your core real personality. But there are tools that we can use. You don't have to go for these sources, because of course therapy is there. I know that lots of people cannot afford therapy, which is again a big fault of our society, that we cannot have mental support when we need. But art can save people's lives for sure, and good friendships and social events, and nature is the other. So
anyone can do that.
Anyone can go for a walk.
Yes, find something green and stand next to it, if that's all.
Yeah, or exercise, to reconnect with your body.
Mm-hmm.
So there are lots of different ways to take responsibility and put yourself back on the track and try to discover who you really are. And you made a big journey on this. You were very afraid to say no, because you thought that this will make people unhappy, and you don't want to be the responsible one to make other people unhappy. But this is another trick, that you are not making other people unhappy to say no. It's your choice. It's their choice whether they feel bad about this or not.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's so hard to tell yourself that if you're in the habit of never saying no. You think you're a kinder person, or you just don't want to make waves. But my family has been training me to say, this family, you and my children are training me to say no and staying on me, and it's helped a great deal. But I got to the point where I just didn't know what my preferences were for simple things like what kind of jam I wanted. I didn't know anymore. And that was a shocking realization.
And what was really helpful?
Being loved. Because even if you don't love yourself enough, if someone authentic comes along and loves you, as we've said before, then that's proof, inescapable proof, that you are a lovable person. So you are therefore entitled to love yourself too. And then you can start to listen to yourself and your voices and your preferences, and realize that they're valid, that they matter, that you don't have to be the last on the list, that what you want, who you are, the things that are woven into your being, the things you like, that you're drawn to, are as valid as they are for anyone else. And that's what helps. And you can slowly come out of the habit, because it is just a habit, of putting yourself last and not saying no, thinking that this is going to make you seem to be a better person, a more likable person. But you're just leaving yourself open to be walked all over. Certain people will smell you a mile away. If you're a compliant person, you will be abused by someone, an employer or a partner or whatever. You will be detected and exploited, and then thrown away when you're no longer able to provide what they need, and they will move on to the next employee or partner or whatever.
So you cannot really save the inner work. If you have to work on your own self and to be able loving yourself enough to say no. And it's a shocking realization that the core problem really is that you don't feel enough worthwhile to be loved.
And everyone does the moment they're born. I mean, no one is born feeling, unless, well, actually, you can have a prenatal environment that's unhealthy. That's true.
And the hormone cocktail is in the mom's
that's
body,
right.
so it's going right into
that's
the
right.
baby.
The baby feels those emotions, so they can be born. But I mean, we all have an opportunity from inception, from to be a whole person. Like you have a chance from the beginning, if the prenatal environment is positive, and if the child is wanted, and then you have all the ingredients to love yourself. The self-denigration is a layer that's added artificially and by an environment, and it can be escaped from, but it's work. You said that people can't afford therapy always, and that is a failure of society. But there are people like Gábor Maté who have wonderful videos that you can watch for free on YouTube, and there are a lot of other. There's a lot of good therapy out there. There's probably some quackery as well, but if you choose carefully, you can find some voices that will at least resonate with you and let you know when you've got a problem. You think, okay, this is something. I'm sitting here crying watching this video. They've pushed a button. This is me, and I need to explore this. I need to read some books free at the library and talk to people. Don't disconnect from people. Find people who have been in the same situation. Talk to your friends. Be honest and authentic. If they're real friends, they won't run away. And that's how you start. And like you said, exercise. These are all things you can do for free. And even just jumping up and down tells your body that you care about it, that you are important to you. And it doesn't cost anything. And I know some people say, I don't have time for that. Well, who are you giving your time to and why? These are the questions to ask yourself. And who is more important than you? What good are you to anyone else if you're sick inside? 0 is the answer.
You touched something that is very important, I think, to highlight or just make it a little bit louder. You said when you are listening something or watching a video and it hits you and your body reacts again, you feel this in your throat. How do you say balls? I don't know how do you say in English when you just, full of this tension. And suddenly you feel kind of suffocated. And after the cry is coming and you are able to release your emotion, again, your body is saying, hey, you have something here to do.
That's true. I hadn't thought of that. It's a pure physical reaction.
Pure physical reaction, again, sending message. And when you feel the fear or something is hitting you, it's always here in the heart chakra. It's your body. Heart, gut. Throat. It's always sending these feelings, and you cannot escape. After you can decide to turn around and not listen to it, but it's there. So I think the first step should be to try to tune to your own body, because your body is offering lots of joy and pleasure for you. It's not just the signaling system. So it's inviting you to reconnect to it, and after you can start your journey and again, building the blocks, and you can reach very high levels.
Do people shut out what feels good then? Like they're shutting off negative emotions for social reasons or religious reasons or family dynamic reasons. But do people also shut down the feeling of joy and contentment because that's forbidden?
If they are shamed for that?
Oh boy, yeah, shame and guilt. I guess religion can do that too.
Parenting.
Parenting, yeah. And maybe this is why people also turn to addictive things because
there is no taboo, there is no shutdown. Somehow, the pleasure is very reachable through addiction
because it's externalized or maybe it's private. It's a private thing. You go off and do. But imagine if you could just enjoy yourself, feeling good about looking at a beautiful scene, or looking at art, or listening to music, and give yourself the freedom to feel everything that you feel under those circumstances. Or when you're with someone you love so much, just to give. To open completely to that and not feel like, well, I need to preserve myself, I need to show a certain face, and I need to protect myself, or I need to limit my emotional dynamic range to within some socially or family accepted norms, but just to give yourself completely to what you're feeling.
But how dangerous that? To be completely vulnerable and give yourself to someone. Lots of people are afraid to do that because they feel that people will use this and hurt them. If the trust is betrayed, it's very hard to give yourself completely to someone and feel everything. You know, your body is like a sponge. It could filter so many things. I just remember when we were in front of Klimt Kiss, and it was so overwhelming. Art is doing a lot this with me, when it's so overwhelming that you cannot do anything, just react with your body. I was just there and, you know, crying, not with the real cry, but my, you know, tears just come out, and we were hand in hand and doing it the same thing. We don't even have to look at each other, and we know that we are doing exactly the same thing in front of that painting. So your body can give you this beautiful, overwhelming, almost you cannot deal with this kind of gift, and your body is able to do this for you if you are honest with yourself and you let your body to talk to you and communicate with you.
What are we so afraid of? You know, why is it that makes so someone laughs at you for crying at a painting, or someone makes fun of you for being sensitive? Who cares? Why their cruelty, their sadness, their hurt? Why can't we just leave that with them and not let it affect how we feel about ourselves, affect the level of respect that we owe to our own feelings and emotions? What are we so afraid of?
Because I think this is going back to the same freaking point, that you don't have enough confidence in yourself. Who you are is completely acceptable, because if someone would laugh at us, we say, poor them.
Yeah.
You know, like, poor you that you cannot feel what I feel. But if you uncertain in yourself that you are enough, you are lovable, you are okay, you are looking at others, checking like mirrors all the time, that I'm okay. And this is, of course, the origin, again, it's infancy. If your needs were not fulfilled, if you were sleep trained, if spoke to your mom to breastfeed you every 4 hours, even if 2:30 you were crying and your mom was crying, and you were detached from each other
because it's not yet time to.
Sorry, you know, if your premature trust is betrayed, then this is your main experience as a baby. So we have to go back again to the same place over and over again, heal ourselves inside, tell ourselves that yes, unfortunately it didn't happen, but it's possible to heal ourselves. And one thing I really would like to bring in as a feminist, the patriarchy, what is doing with men too, because you said that, you know, that for women it's so easy to go into this trap, to serve others and put themselves in the last, even in Hungary in the last century, we had this habit in the rural place for sure, that women are serving first the man, after the kids, and if there is any leftover food, she can eat after that everyone finished.
You're kidding.
No. But this is patriarchal, of course, but patriarchy is hurting men too. As you pointed out in the beginning, that a man who is expressing their emotion, they are weak, they are not enough macho, they are not enough strong. So lots of men didn't learn during their childhood, when they were little boys, that actually is okay to have emotions. You know, we are saying in Hungarian, when a boy is crying, that, oh, this is a soldier thing, you don't even have to deal with it. So that it's not painful what you're feeling. Get up and move on.
Man up.
Yeah.
We've seen that at playgrounds here. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Little boys crying and their father or grandfather scolding them for being in pain.
They are saying even not be a girl.
Don't be a girl?
Don't be a girl.
Oh, brother.
So, if you are detached from your own experience, that, fuck grandpa, this is hurtful and I have the right to cry, and this is absolutely prohibited and suppressed. You are not a good boy if you are crying. Then no wonder why adult men are struggling to express their emotions. They cannot say, I'm afraid. They cannot say, I'm angry in an honest way. Of course, they can be aggressive because then that's a mannish thing to do. But, just to deal with honest, real emotions for a man in a patriarchal system is very, very hard. Even here in Hungary, they are saying, oh, you are gay.
Yeah, that's right. If you've got emotions, then you must be gay or a woman or somehow less of a man.
So all of us, we are here in a fucked up society where lots of time we are alone. But you have to know that you are not alone. People are there for you. People want to connect with you. People want to know who you are. We think that we are alone because this is what the system wants to convince us to believe in, that you are not acceptable, I am not acceptable, and you have to fulfill some kind of roles to be useful for their own profit.
Even men who feel like they are isolated, but they are not free to talk about things. I bet if they were in a situation where they opened up to a male friend about something they went through, and this might happen when they lose a parent or something like that, then after years of friendship, suddenly they have a dialogue where they're talking about their feelings, and they realize that they actually have the same feelings about things, and how much freer they feel if they can actually communicate about these things, about problems they've had with their relationships or family. This is real friendship when you can go to those places with someone. But a lot of male relationships never get there. They never get there unless there's some sort of personal crisis and one opens up to the other, and then it begins. But
there is hope, and you need at least one person that you can trust and open and talk with them. And really, it's work. You have to exercise to set up your boundaries and defend them and saying no, and try to be honest with yourself, reconnect with your own emotions, seek for help if you need. Because if you achieve authenticity, suddenly life would be so colorful and playful and adventurous and funny and very loving place where people want to connect with you. And as a parent, this is the biggest gift ever that you can give to your kid, to accept who they are, give space for them, for their emotions, teach them how to control. This is a recipe for a happy life.
Authentic people are a joy to meet and to be with. People who are just aware of themselves and they know how to interact with others, and it's not always battles, it's not always a tug of war, because it doesn't have to be. They don't feel like they're seeking revenge on the world. They can just be themselves, and they can enjoy the world, they can enjoy the company of other people.
And then suddenly you turn to be like a channel, just things are going through you and you can feel it, and suddenly you are a dancer, you are a painter, you are so much richer because the information somehow will be real inside you, and you can transform and let through yourself and just, hug the whole world and being in love and having super nice kids.
I love the sound of that. Because I'm in it.
So, thank you so much for being with us. The time passed.
Yeah, I did hear that.
And let's continue this.
Yeah, we will touch on this topic inevitably the next time or two that we pull something out of Grandpa Fred's hat. But,
so be good to yourself.
Be good to yourself, really.
Love yourself very much.
That's the best way to love everyone else around you, to start with you.
Yeah.
And be happy and love being alive. It's a beautiful world.
Please stay with us. Subscribe if you would like to be
informed. Do people get informed when we post new things? That's well worth it. That's well worth it. We're fun to be around.
Thank you so much for watching us. Bye bye.
Bye for now.